Welcome to episode 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 of Breakaway Rail Talk. I'm doing number 4 without Joe because he's done the last 2. So now it's my turn. Hope you enjoy the show. This is going to be with Aron Yagoda. So I want to talk to you a little bit about our newest and greatest sponsor, Arion Pedigrees. And why do I say they're new? Well, they're the most recent one. But more importantly, why do I say they're great? Because I've actually been using the website, and it's arion.co.nz, as in for New Zealand. And if you go onto the website, you get a chance to look at hundreds and hundreds of different profiles, different ways of looking at catalogs, different information. I personally use the catalog style with sales data. That way it tells me what else is going on in the family, who bought those horses, the progeny, and when should I expect them to run. But I really, really enjoy the interactiveness of the website. And what's even better is that now I understand that as of like the first of the year, they're updating it to make it even better, even a better experience for you. So please go see arion.co.nz, our newest sponsor, Arion Pedigrees. You'll be happy you did. So welcome to episode 4 of Breakaway Rail Talk. I am so excited, and as Joe would say, so stoked to introduce one of my best friends in the whole world. Yes, there are more than one, but my best friend in the whole world, Aron Yagoda. Aron has been the executive VP of Streit's Matzos for the company's been around for almost 100 years. He's only been executive VP for part of that, but primarily, I think Streit has been around since 1925. So kudos to you guys for keeping the business going. Aron, your exploits in the industry range from being an owner to a breeder, pinhooker, shortlister, underbidder, good luck charm, and mostly comedy relief. When I was doing some information gathering before the show, I actually asked my dad what he would say in the intro. And his intro for you, Aron, would be, he's the son I never had. So with that, Aron Yagoda, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Brother John. I appreciate it. And I'm happy I landed up, instead of always watching the Rail Talks, I'm happy to be on one. So thank you for having me, and to everybody.
Well, you've earned it. I mean, you've been in the business even longer than I have. And you have some tremendous stories and exploits, which we'll get to it in a little bit. When I think of Aron Yagoda, I think of like Forrest Gump without the success. Is that a fair assessment? Yes. I wouldn't be in the, what do you call that? A meritocracy? You had to throw that one in already, didn't you? Yeah. Throw that one in. So Aron, how did you get started in the business all those decades ago?
Well, my grandfather, Jack Streit, he had horses in the 1940s. I actually have wind pictures from the late 40s. And then he had horses in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. My dad met my mom. He never went to a racetrack before, and he started owning in the 70s and 80s. And then in 1985, when I turned 18, I bought my first racehorse, and I've had at least one horse every year since. So that's 30 something years now, 33 years of being an owner. But wow. I've always been crazy. I've always been a horse crazy kid. And how I really got into it. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, is that also how you picked your colleges, right? As in close proximity to racetracks?
Yeah, actually. And actually, I learned, I was a lazy reader in first grade, and they said he could read, but he didn't like to read. So they told me, you got to find something that he's interested in reading. So my dad let me, back then, Joe Hirsch used to write the front cover of the Racing Form. So my homework to read that every night was to circle all the words I didn't understand. And that's how I learned how to read. So my dad used to say, other kids are running See Spot Run, and my kid was reading Spots Running in the Third.
So you got your humor from your dad, obviously.
I guess so, maybe a little bit.
Yep. And with all the different aspects of the business that you're involved with, it seems like you have a finger in so many different pies. What is your favorite part of the business?
My favorite part of the business is claiming and buying fillies and mares at the racetrack, and some pin hooking. Those are the two I enjoy the best. Besides when I get to be the tag along at DJ Stable with you and your dad. That's been some of my highs, going with your mom and your dad to a lot of places. You guys take me to great places, and we have a great time wherever we go. Plus, we always steal something.
Yes, we do usually take a donation or a symbol, almost like a serial killer taking a prize from every kill. Is that the way you describe it?
Yeah, well, your dad, he eggs me on. First year we took like the jaywalk thing. We went to the Eclipse Awards, and now we seem to just take a souvenir wherever we go. But it's a great game, and everybody, however you want to participate it, you can make it as much fun as you want, whether it's social, economical, and just get the most out of it. Really, people partner up with a friend or get part of a friend. Just enjoy the game. That's what it's all about.
And Aron, the past few years, you've been elected onto the NYTHA board in your home state in New York. Give us an idea of what that is and just what kind of an impact that has in local racing.
So I'm a New York owner by most parts, so I'm at the track a lot, and I'm at the barns in the morning. And NYTHA is really more of a benevolence organization. We're supposed to help, or whether it's we give a lot of the money. It's not for profit. It's to really help the New York horsemen and make sure that whether it's from health insurance to making sure kids are going to the after school programs, or there's some scholarship programs. So about 80% of it is benevolence, and it's just really to help the people that help us.
No, that's wonderful. And I know being on the board has been very meaningful for you. We've gotten a lot of things done over the past few years, especially. And I know one of your favorite pet projects also is to introduce fans and have them be more interactive with trainers. And I remember you telling me a story one time about some hecklers that were yelling at one of the jockeys, and you had a very unique way of handling that.
Oh, yeah. I was going down at Aqueduct. They have to walk down the stairs to go to the paddock. And the hecklers are usually up there. And as I was walking down, they're like, you tell Jose to go to the lead. You tell Jose this. And you tell Jose. I said, you know what? You come with me. You tell him yourself. So I brought the hecklers to the paddock and I let them give the instructions. And boy, they were a lot nicer in the paddock than they were when they were 30 feet above the jockey. But and my trainer was like, who are these guys? These your friends? I'm like, no, they're the hecklers from up above. I brought them down to the paddock with me. So that was a fun day. I enjoyed that.
You seem to get along with everybody, whether it's heckling fans or racing officials or owners or even trainers you've claimed horses from. What do you attribute that to?
We're all in it together. I just want the game to be better. My daughter gave me a mission statement when she was 20 years old last year. She said, Dad, I hope racing survives you. And I've told you that a few times. And that's my go-to. I just want racing to survive, whatever we need to do. And I want people, when they're at the track, whether they claim a horse from me, I claim from them. For those 6 hours that we're together, I want everyone just to have the best experience they can at the track.
No, I think that's very heartfelt and a great goal. And we talk all the time on the main podcast show about how to fix the industry. We have full crop decreasing and trainers that have been, used to be alleged cheating now are we're finding out they are cheating. People are fleecing owners. Horses are breaking down. If you got to be, king for a day and wanted to try to fix the industry, what particular issues would you try to attack? And do you have any ideas on how?
I mean, I tell you all the time, I think you know more about what goes on in the industry from all the hats than anybody I know. I don't even know really what in my little circle, but I don't think it's one particular answer. I think we're pulling from a lot of different things. I mean, yesterday I read that the foal crop is going to shrink again for the 16th year out of the last 17 years or whatever it was. And, less horses being produced, less racing, less racetracks. And, what it happens, we go out of the way. I guess I told someone the other day, maybe we should do something different. Maybe we should go to the most important person in our industry, the gambler, the $2 bettor, and ask them what they want. And we're fighting for that wagering dollar. And instead of dictating to them what we're going to present to them, maybe we should go to them and make them feel like they're part of it. And usually when people feel like they're part of the process, they'll actually put up with a lot more and help us that way.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point about, they are the customer. I mean, we like to think we're the customer because the horses, in essence, work for us and therefore they should, do well for us. But at the end of the day, it's the wagerer. It's the person that's throwing down a couple bucks on the pick six or on a trifecta. And quite frankly, I think the gamblers have a better insight as to which trainers are taking an edge. I mean, they really know before the tests come out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, gamblers get upset. They never picked a bad horse, right? Either the trainer's a cheat, the jockey can't ride, something nefarious happened or something that along the way. But, they're our customer and they're actually our industry. Without them, it trickles down. So I thought maybe we should, if you gave me the king for a day, I would bring them more into the mix. They're never on any boards or anything like that. And I would bring in Joe Public to see what they want to keep our sport alive, right? Like I said, we're fighting for that wagering dollar, right? Kids are betting prop bets and parlay bets. We don't have those kind of things at the racetrack. And, we need to have a good experience. So going back to a couple years ago when I talked to a couple years ago, like I just said, when we talked about have a good experience, I started a scavenger hunt at Saratoga. I was coming down the escalator and there was a family. They looked upset. I went up to the father and the mother. They said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm just on the board here. I'm nothing special." He says, "Well, my kids are upset, and that makes my wife upset, and I'm not having a good time." So I made up a quick scavenger hunt of like 25 things for these kids to do for the next hour. And I went back in an hour, and the guy said, "I don't know who you are, but you're my favorite person at the racetrack." And his kids went, and I bought them an ice cream and a donut. So I now give that to anyone that looks upset at the track. I walk around my scavenger hunt, and off they go.
No, it's a great idea. I think it was a much better idea than you trying to lure the kids into your undisclosed van with cookies and puppies.
Right. I keep them on the grounds. This way, if I get them off the grounds, I'd have to register as one of those offenders. So I keep them in the grounds of Saratoga.
Good, because nothing bad ever happens on the racetrack.
No. Speaking of that, I was in France at Deauville at a horse sale, and I landed up talking to some nice man. And next thing I know, I'm by myself. He invites me to his house. I'm in the back of his car, going to some stranger's house that I just met an hour away. And I'm thinking, now I know how kids get abducted, right? The guy said horse, and that was my candy. And it worked out well. Obviously, I'm alive, and the guy brought me back. But I could definitely see how people get abducted. It happened to me. So.
Oh, man. The other story that I love you telling is when you were like a teenager and your dad had a horse in the Derby. You got to tell the audience that one. That's one of my favorites.
Well, it wasn't one of my favorites, but actually you guys, I have to retire that story because in 1983, my dad had one of the worst horses in the Kentucky Derby. The horse's name was Lava Libra. And he got in only because back then, now we have the point system. Before the point system, we had graded stakes earnings. But back then, it was just earnings. And my dad's horse won the first division of the Florida Stallion Stakes when it was like $240,000. And it earned him enough money in October that year to get him to the Derby. He never won another race from that Stallion Stakes to the Derby, and that race was clocked like a mile and a 16th, maybe in a minute and 50 something. It would have been like a 30 buyer figure. Right. But anyway, he made enough money, and we get to the Derby, and my dad leaves me there the week of the Derby. We went there the week before. I went to the draw and all that, and before that, an agent came up to me when I was there. My dad went back to New York, and he said, "Oh, is this horse for sale?" I'm like, "Sure," because I was always willing to trade horses. And the guy offered $750,000, and I said, "Oh, absolutely, we'll take it." So
right.
I called my dad.
Which in today's economy is like what, $2 billion?
I have no idea, but I know my dad's horse stunk, and I called my dad. He was in a meeting in New York, and I got him on the phone. I said, "Dad, I sold the horse." He's like, "The horse is not. First of all, you don't own the horse, and second of all, the horse is not for sale." So the guy had the bloodstock agent had an older gentleman who never had in the Derby, and he was sick, and he didn't care what it cost. He wanted to have a horse in the Derby. So I had to rescind the deal the next day. My dad was really mad at me. I had to tell the guy I was underage. I couldn't sell a horse I didn't own. And besides that guy getting really upset with me. So my dad comes back, and the horse runs horrible. I think he finished 18th out of 21 in the Derby. And back then there was 21 in the Derby that year. And the skies opened up. I didn't even have a license. And my dad gets me to get the car. And we get in the car and we start driving. And he's like, "Well, I took my kids to the Derby. What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm not going to be dumb enough not to turn down $750,000 for a bad horse." And he didn't say anything. And the next thing you know, he stopped at the Louisville Greyhound bus stop and bought me a ticket and sent my ass home on the bus. But he was there to get me. So that story lasted till the next time I went to the Derby, when Helium ran, and I went with you and your family were nice enough to take me. And I think of the 6 people in the plane, 5 of them were named Green, and there was myself. And so my last trip for the Derby went in a private jet. So I have to retire my Greyhound bus story.
No, that was one of my all-time favorite stories because it was supposed to teach you some humility, which I don't think that lesson was ever learned.
Oh, it did. It did. I was in my suit still when I left there. I was 16 years old. I was in my suit. My dad, and I fell asleep on the bus, and I woke up. My shoes were gone. And I went to the front of the bus, and I told the guy, "Someone stole my shoes. Don't stop the bus." And he said, "No, they probably slid, and they were just a few rows ahead." But I was convinced as a little city boy that someone stole my shoes while I was sleeping. So that was kind of embarrassing.
You bring up the fact that you've been to a lot of these races with us. You've been to the Ashland and the Oaks and the Derby and Breeders' Cup races. Do you ever get tired of being
Awards?
in my
Don't forget the Eclipse Award. No, I love being in your shadow. I it's like I have the best seat in the house. Your dad is.
We got to do that one over because you totally stepped on my punchline.
What?
You stepped on my punchline. Nobody could hear that.
What would you say about being your shadow?
Yeah.
Oh. I love being your shadow. No one could do what you do. I wouldn't want to do what you do.
Be friends with you? Is that what you mean?
That too, but your job is pretty tough. I mean, your dad's the George Steinbrenner of the team. You're the Brian Cashman, and then all the trainers are the players and all that. And I'm just the fan with the all-purpose pass. I can go wherever I want, and it's great. I love it this way.
We like to think of you as the Make-A-Wish kid. That's what we do.
That's exactly what I'm in. Yeah, Aaron's Wish.
Aaron's Wish would be a great name for another horse. If only we hadn't named that horse Naval Hospital, then we'd have a horse available to be able to name Aaron's Wish.
Yeah. I did take the Long Island Railroad the other day to the city, and I did not have to change to Jamaica.
There you go. See,
yeah, so I was very happy with that.
Good. But you thought of the name, didn't you? You absolutely thought of the name.
Yes. That's one of my favorite names.
That's what is one of your horse favorite names?
Well, definitely not the one that you and your dad keep reserving every year, Mucho Matzo Man. I hate that name, so I'll never let that horse run. If you ever get it past me, I'm never going to let that horse run. I'll do whatever it takes. One of my best names. That's going to be your title.
That's going to be your title under your name on this interview. You know that, right?
Yeah, I hope not. One of the best names I had. I had a colt by American Standard back then. And since all the urinals were by American Standard in the toilets, I named them Your Innate, Yourinnate. And I sold them, and the people changed the name. I was so upset. I'm like, that was the greatest name ever, Urinate by American Standard. It got past the Jockey Club and everything, and they changed the horse's name. That was my most disappointing naming that was changed.
We got to get that one back. That one back.
American Standard doesn't stand anymore, so you have to go find a different toilet.
That's true. We got to think of a different one. Oh my God. So I do actually want to ask you a serious question, because you're very involved in racing in New York, and you have horses with Linda Rice. In your estimation, is NYTHA being fair with Linda with regard to this potential 3-year and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fines and fees?
Well, first of all, it's not NYTHA, it's the Gaming Commission. Okay. I think they are a lot of bit overreaching. I mean, I've been in the game, and people share information all the time, so I don't know what she actually was accused of. If you listen to all the hours of tape and all that, I definitely think it was very harsh. I mean, the appellate court basically said that she doesn't deserve any type of suspension, maybe a fine or a hand slap, but definitely not a 3-year suspension.
Right. Yeah. And that's still under appeal, right?
Yeah, that's still, well, they made a ruling, and they're just waiting for the final. The appellate court made a final ruling that she shouldn't have any length of stoppage of her work. Plus, right. But they did accept a monetary fine.
And do you think, with regard to the trainers and if there is any potential nefarious activity and everything like that, is HISA their rules and penalties, is that enough to stop trainers from cheating or taking an edge in your estimation?
Listen, in any industry, even in the Matzos industry, when there's a lot of money involved, there's always someone trying to take an edge or an angle. And I'm pro HISA. I think it's great. We're only in the first year. We're in the infancy of their year. I don't know what it was like when, the NFL, had a governing body, or the NBA or the MLB, but, they're in the infancy. I think Lisa Lazarus is a great person to be in charge of it. And I think they need to work some things out. We'll get the rules down. But I think they are scaring people. I mean, it's definitely, you have to jump through a lot of hoops to run a horse right now, which is fine. They just gave some other gentleman a 12-year suspension. So these guys are realizing they're not getting the old 10 days and $1,000 fine anymore, that there's a new sheriff in town. And I think when we work it out, and there's always things that come up that weren't thought of, and, adding horsemen to the board and stuff like that. Like, you'd be a great adversary for that. I meant advocate right there. I do think that it will work out, and I like having a governing body of our sport. Like people have said, even on your show, we were the only sport that didn't have a governing body. So now we do, but this is the first year. So I'm sure, the NFL commissioner's first year had some rocky roads too, and there's always something that comes up, even if we've been around for 50 years. So I think it will work out. And I think the length of the suspensions and people that are going to jail now, they're scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as well they should be. I mean, like you said, there's finally an adult in the room, and there's finally some teeth in these penalties to make people at the very least stop and think before they act and try to take an edge.
Right. And I think their boots on the ground theory of trying to, I mean, Ben Moser said it's going to be more boots on the ground than, maybe lab testing. And that's how they caught some of these other people who still never had positive tests. Like I said, when there's a lot of money, there's always someone trying to take an edge. So
Right.
I really think now they take your career away. So it's not like you better think twice about it.
And Aron, I know there's one special story you wanted to tell with regard to a breeding incident that you had. I'm just going to let you run with it at that point.
Well, with the recent passing of Governor Jones, and I know you're friends with Brett Jones, it reminded me of a funny story that happened with me with Governor Jones years ago. I got my first mare or two, and Forest Camp. I was a huge Forest Camp fan, and I read that he was going to stud at Airdrie, so I applied for my 2 mares to go there, and I thought I'd just send the $10,000 and I could breed, and one of the mares got rejected. So I didn't understand what that meant. I thought you pay, you could breed anything. So I called up and I couldn't get Governor Jones on the phone the first time. And finally I get him on the second time. And I said, Governor, I'm not really understanding why you didn't pick, you rejected my other mare. He goes, well, I went by pedigree and don't be insulted. It happens a lot. You're not the only horse that we rejected. I said, but Governor, you don't understand. This is the prettiest mare I've ever owned. She's like a 17-hand quarter horse. She was like the highest price horse in like book 6 at Keeneland September, but she doesn't have much of a pedigree. He says, well, I'm sorry. I can't accept, breeding to her. So, Governor, before you hang up, let me just ask you one question. When you're walking down the street and you see a beautiful girl walking towards you and she passes you and you kind of turn around and check her out from behind. He goes, I'm not really following where you're going. I said, well, let me just finish. At that point, when you look at her from behind, I know what you're thinking, but you know what you're not thinking? He's like, what, Aron? What am I not thinking? So you're not thinking who her parents are. So he gave a chuckle. He says, you know what? Send your mare. I sent the mare, and she bred to Forest Camp. And then I saw Governor Jones at Fasig-Tipton in July, the yearling sale after breeding season. Fasig-Tipton, a sponsor of Rail Talk. I saw him at the sale, so I went up to him and I said, you don't really remember me, but I met you through Hash Weinstein and Howie Tesher, but I'm Aron Yagoda. I just wanted to thank you for letting me breed that one mare that you rejected. And he says, the mare didn't get I didn't do it because of that. Your story was so good, I decided to let the mare, I kept chuckling. He goes, but in fact, when the mare did show up at the farm, I did go out and look at her just to see if you were telling the truth. And he goes, by golly, that mare was a very pretty mare. So he got a joke out of it. But my story talked him into letting me breed the mare. But I just did it because I was naive. I didn't know you could get rejected.
Oh my God. I got a feeling, just knowing you as well as I do, that your stories have gotten you in and out of a lot of places over the years.
Yes. The howdy doody face helps. If not, I would get punched in the face a lot. But I say it with a smile. But I hope Brett Jones, I don't know him as well as you do, obviously. And I just hope he would enjoy that story about his dad. So since everyone was calling in all these different stories about how great the governor was, that was my great governor story.
Yep. And now it'll forever be known as a great Aron Yagoda story.
Perfect. Thank you.
So, Aron, in just to wrap it up, you've been in the business for 40 years. Is there still a goal that you're hoping to achieve before you're not in the business anymore?
Well, I mean, I still get excited when that racing form comes out every day, that this could be I could find the horse that's going to change my life. But right now, my goal is just to keep racing going. I don't want to go, I went to college in Miami, and back then the dogs had all the power. The dog tracks had all the power, and they're gone. And harness racing is falling by the wayside too. I don't want to be one of those sports. So my goal is that we should all work together as an industry. Even though we're all sharing each other's money, we're kind of like carnival people. We travel together, we go everywhere together. But at the end of the day, we all have each other's backs. And you'll see that when something happens on the backside. I was listening to an interview the other day. Richard McGlory said it best. When the unfortunate breakdowns in Saratoga this year, people on the backside were, crying and hugging each other, strangers, competitors, and yet the people in the front that were anti-racing, they were cheering. They should have been just as upset as we were. But there was a whole somber thing in the backside. So when it's all together, that's a great community. We all get together, and we all really are there for each other. It's really a family.
Right. Absolutely. And we talk about the horse industry, the breed of being inbred and crossbred. I think you could say the same thing about the people in the industry. I mean, it's a pretty incestuous business.
It is. A lot of it's passed down from generation to generation, and we have to keep everybody, even the small trainer, just like in any industry. You need that little mom and pop shop. It can't be all Amazon all the time.
Right. No, very well said. Very well said. Well, Aron, I can't thank you enough for being, my second guest and the fourth guest on Breakaway Rail Talk. Hopefully the audience has kind of gotten an idea of why I love you so much. And if not, we'll put your home number and your home address down there so they can come see you personally. But I can't thank you enough. And I know that I wouldn't enjoy the business nearly as much as I do without your friendship and your camaraderie and your laughter and your joking. And it's been a great run, and I look forward to being able to have more memories and more laughs with you in the near future.
Me too. I really appreciate it. I mean, you guys do treat me like part of the family, and I know one thing: people look at us and I only wish they have as much fun in a day as we do when we're all together at the races or at a horse sale. They just wish they're having as much fun as we are. We're always joking about something.
That's right. They're just jealous, is what I'm thinking.
Keep smiling. Makes them more jealous.
Makes them wonder. Exactly. I mean, it's tough. It's tough enough that we're already better looking than them, but then have more fun. Really, it isn't fair.
Thank you, Jon, for having me.